All right, guys. The verdict for the shocking sexual assault trial that happened in France came down yesterday. Pellico mass R-word trial ends with 51 guilty verdicts and fears justice hasn't been served. This is really interesting. What Giselle Pellico said as she left court. Let's take a look at what this has to say.
Je pense aussi à toutes les autres familles touchées
I'm also thinking of all the other families affected by this
par
drama.
ce drame. Je pense enfin aux victimes non
Finally, I think of all the unknown victims
reconnues, dont les histoires demeurent souvent
of stories which often unfold in the shadows.
dans l'ombre. Je veux que vous sachiez que nous partageons le même
I want you to know we share the same fight.
combat.
Madame Pellico, juste en dernier.
That's what she said as she left the court. Let's take a look at
Now
this
to a
news story.
shocking rape trial in France. More than 50 men who raped a woman over the course of nearly a decade were convicted today. And that includes her ex-husband, who invited the men to sexually assault his wife. The survivor, Giselle Pellico, became a feminist icon after she forced a public trial to show rape victims they were not alone. CBS's Elaine Cobb reports from Paris.
After more than 3 months of reliving daily the nightmare her husband put her through, Giselle Pellico walked out of court with her head held high.
Je pense enfin
My thoughts are with all the victims who have not been recognized, she said. I want you to know that we share the same fight. Her now ex-husband, Dominique Pellico, was handed a 20-year sentence after he admitted to the court that he drugged her night after night for almost a decade so that he and dozens of men could rape her. Giselle waived her right to anonymity in the trial, hoping to help other victims. Her bravery winning her the admiration of a nation and beyond. In just a few short months, Giselle's likeness has been everywhere, from the covers of magazines to the walls of Avignon. Activist Fanny Forez has been pasting messages of support near the courthouse.
I think it has changed society already along these 4 months. As the day the trial started, we started to talk a lot.
Many here are hoping the case will prompt a review of French rape laws amid anger that the other 50 men were all handed lower sentences than the prosecution recommended. Today, Giselle left the courthouse to cheers for the last time. Her supporters singing the women's anthem, Rise Up. Elaine Cobb, CBS News, Paris.
Good evening.
So this is a really interesting story because it was a crazy rape trial. It was a crazy trial in terms of just the mass scale of the injustices done upon this woman. And she really did spark a lot of conversation, specifically in France. But I think it's fair to say that pretty much everyone should be talking about this trial because it is kind of emblematic of gender issues that just exist throughout the world. Cut that off. So let's read this article. So, Giselle Pellico spoke of her very difficult ordeal after 51 men were convicted Thursday in the drugging and R-word trial that riveted France and turned her into an icon, expressing support for other victims whose cases don't get such attention and whose stories remain untold. I want you to know that we share the same fight, she said in her first words that spurred a national reckoning about the blight of our culture. Pellico's ex-husband, Dominique Pellico, and all but one of his co-defendants were convicted of sexually assaulting her over a period of nearly a decade after he'd knocked her unconscious by lacing her food and drink with drugs. The other co-defendant was convicted of drugging and R-wording his own wife with Dominique Pellico's help. As campaigners against sexual violence protested outside the courthouse, the 72-year-old Giselle Pellico expressed my profound gratitude towards the people who supported me. Your messages moved me deeply, and they gave me the strength to come back every day and survive through these long daily hearings, she said. This trial was a very difficult ordeal. Noel in prison, Pox, and a man with a placard reading Christmas in prison, Easter in the Slammer. That's funny. Media wait outside the courthouse of Avignon ahead of the verdict. So yes, this was a huge national story in France. And there's a reason that I wanted to talk about it too, because a lot of the aspects of this story can be applied to America and kind of the culture of misogyny and patriarchy that we do have in America. Pellico, a hero to many in France and beyond for courageously demanding that all the evidence be heard in open court, also said she was thinking of her grandchildren after enduring the more than 3-month trial where she sat in the same courtroom as her attackers. It's also for them that I led this fight, she said of her grandkids. I wanted all of society to be a witness to the debates that took place here. I never regretted making this decision. I have trust in our capacity to collectively project ourselves towards a future where all women and men can live in harmony with respect and mutual understanding. Thank you. Maximum penalty for her ex-husband. This is a crazy drawing. This is a drawing of the courtroom. The court found Dominique Pellico guilty on all charges and sentenced him to 20 years in prison, which was the maximum possible. That's kind of funny. That's weird. 20 years is the maximum possible for like sexual abuse. At age 72, he could spend the rest of his life behind bars. He won't be eligible to request early release until he served at least 2/3 of the sentence. Dominique Pellico and the other defendants stood up one after the other as Chief Judge Roger Arata read out the verdicts and sentences, which took more than an hour. Giselle Pellico sometimes nodded her head as verdicts were announced. Dominique Pellico's lawyer, Beatrice Zavaro, said she would consider an appeal, but she also expressed hope that Giselle Pellico would find solace in the rulings. I wanted Mrs. Pellico to be able to emerge from these hearings in peace, and I think that the verdicts will contribute to this relief for Miss Pellico, she said. Supporters decry some sentences as too low. Of the 50 accused of rape, just one was acquitted, but was instead convicted of aggravated sexual assault. Another man was also found guilty of the sexual assault charge he was tried for, producing 51 guilty verdicts in all. In a side room where defendants' family members watched the proceedings on television screens, some burst into tears and gasped as sentences were revealed. Protesters outside the courthouse followed the developments on their phones. Some read out the verdicts and applauded as they were announced inside, but disquiet grew as many of the sentences were lower than the campaigners had hoped for, and crimes of shame on the justice system rose up from the crowd. In addition to the 20 years they sought for Dominique Pellico, prosecutors asked for sentences of 10 to 18 years for the others charged with rape. But the court was more lenient, with many defendants getting less than a decade in prison. The 5 judges voted by secret ballot by majority for the convictions and sentences. So that's really interesting. Why would the husband, who is, I guess, facilitating all of this abuse, why would he get the maximum sentence, but the people that are just as complicit in the sexual abuse as they are the ones doing the abusing, like alongside with the husband, get dramatically reduced sentences? For the defendants other than Dominique Pellico, sentences range from 3 to 15 years imprisonment, with some of the time suspended for some of them. Arata told 6 defendants they were now free, accounting for time already spent in pre-trial detention. Sophie Burton, 53, who traveled from Lyon to show support for Giselle Pellico, said the trial brought the subject of rape out into the open, but expressed disappointment that the sentences aren't at all exemplary. Some men will think, okay, it's alright. What they did wasn't really a rape, she said. The message that's sent is it really serious, with sentences that are so light? For me, it was meant to be a historic trial, but the feeling I have is that history hasn't been made. Yeah, this is a half measure. If the judge is willing to give the maximum sentence for the husband, why are they not also willing to give serious sentences to people that took part in that? It really does seem like they are excusing the fact that you did you did rape someone, you did rape a woman, and saying that even though you did rape that person, it's not as bad as some other forms of rape. So, Giselle Pelicot's courage during the bruising trial and her appalling ordeal inflicted on the retired power company worker in what she had thought was a lovely marriage galvanized campaigners and spurred calls for tougher measures to stamp out rape culture. She waived her right to anonymity as a survivor of sexual abuse and successfully pushed for the hearings and shocking evidence, including that her ex-husband's homemade videos of the rapes, to be heard in open court, insisting that shame should fall on her abusers, not her. The hearings fueled conversations on a national level in France and among families, couples, and friends about how to better protect women and the role that men can play. Men are starting to talk to women, their girlfriends, mothers, and friends in ways they hadn't before, said Fanny Foray, 48, who joined other women in gluing messages of support for Giselle Pelicot on walls around Avignon before the verdict. It was awkward at first, but now real dialogues are happening, she said. Some women are realizing, maybe for the first time, that their ex-husbands violated them, or that someone close to them committed abuse, Foray added. And men are starting to reckon with their own behavior or complicity, things they've ignored or failed to act on. It's heavy, but it's creating change. A banner that campaigners hung on a city wall opposite the courthouse read, "Merci Giselle," thank you Giselle. So the sordid images. It is interesting, though, that this is kind of the message that the court is sending. Yes, you will get punished, but if you just take part in something and you are not like the main perpetrator, then your punishment is going to be lighter. And I think that if you do want to have these conversations and spark a dialogue with men about what men can do better, that's all well and good, but you also need the system to be changed to kind of support your new mentality. And if there are going to be no consequences for poor behavior like that, like having sex with someone who is drugged and unconscious, and you do not have their consent for you to be doing that with the person, then that is going to kind of undermine the more positive, like pro-consent culture that you're trying to create. If the legal system is simply not going to be there to support you on that, then it is going to be an uphill struggle. So I do think that there is a right for these people that have looked at this as like a spark to create this like broader conversation and bring about this broader change. I do think that these people have a point to be extremely disappointed in the sentences that were handed down for all of these men that did take part in sexual abuse. So the defendants, strangers Dominic Pelicot recruited online, were all accused of having taken part in his sordid rape and abuse fantasies that he acted out with them and filmed in the couple's retirement home in the small province town of Mazan and elsewhere. He first came to the attention of police in September 2020 when supermarket security guard caught him surreptitiously filming up women's skirts. Oh my god, this guy is a scumbag. I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised at that when he's been raping his wife for decades. Police subsequently found his library of images documenting years of abuse, more than 20,000 photos and videos in all, stored on computer drives and cataloged in folders marked "Abuse," "Her Rapist," "Night Alone," and other titles. What a charming man. And this guy can only get 20 years for just being a monster. The abundant evidence led police to the other defendants. In the videos, investigators counted 72 different abusers, but weren't able to identify them all. Well, if he loves sexual abuse so much, he's going to have a blast in prison. Although some of the accused, including Dominic Pelicot, acknowledged that they were guilty of rape, many didn't. Some argued that Dominic Pelicot's consent covered his wife too. Some insisted that they hadn't intended to rape anyone when they responded to the husband's invitations to come to their home. Some laid blame at his door, saying he misled them into thinking they were taking part in consensual kink. So, yes, this is what I heard before, where these guys use the defense that Dominic Pelicot's consent covers for his wife, and this is just messed up, and it is conservative thinking to think that the wife has no agency outside of her husband. So when the husband says yes, then these guys are going to be like, oh, okay, well, I mean, the wife's the husband's property. Like, would you say no? Would it be illegal for me to pet the owner's dog when the owner says I can pet the dog? Even if the dog's asleep, I'll pet the dog. That's the same mentality that they have, except it's a woman. So even though this is like an extreme case, it's a very extreme case, it does highlight some very basic issues that people have in society. And those issues are that men do not see women as real people. Men see women as objects to kind of solve and control and dominate. And then once you have that control over the person, then you kind of own them. And if you say it's okay to do something to your wife, then other guys are going to be like, okay, well, he said it. Why would I pay attention to her? So yes, it is not very groundbreaking to say that rapists are usually misogynistic. It's not very groundbreaking to do that. But I think that it is important that to point out that very basic misogyny of saying like the wife is subservient to the husband can lead to these dramatically disgusting outcomes of a woman getting raped over like 50 times or over 50 times, but by 50 different men. And then that coming out in trial. So yes, this is a very not good system. It's not a good way of thinking. I'll just say that. So yes, that was insane. And the fact that people are just going to come over and have sex with like someone that's completely asleep, and you have no interaction with them at all. You do not know if they are actually okay with this, and you just have been talking with the husband, and you will blindly trust the husband, and then there does need to be a better solution for this. And I think one big meaningful material step that can be taken is by handing out stricter sentences. And I do think that the French court failed to send a strong message with their sentencing. It's actually kind of interesting, like, why did the court only give Dominic 20 years, which is the maximum sentence for rape? Could you not give him any other charges, like drugging his wife without her consent? Is that not a charge that you can put on him too? It's kind of interesting that like even though 20 years is the maximum for rape, it still kind of seems like it's the bare minimum, at least to me. And then all of these other guys, like some guys are free to go. Some guys had already served their time in the pretrial detention. Some got as little as 3 years. One person, I think, didn't they say that one person just got off altogether? So very interesting, like sliding scales on how much guilt they're willing to put on someone. And yes, this is obviously a cultural issue when people have issues with women and issues with respecting women as real people. That is a big problem. The whole idea of your body, my choice, and having this misogyny, having this kind of Trump-like attitude towards women will not necessarily lead you down the road of ending up at a woman having been raped by 50 different men. But it does open the door to that, because it's that same kind of mentality that will allow a man to have sex with another man's unconscious wife because the husband said it was okay. It's that kind of mentality that women aren't their own people, they're just completely subservient to their husbands. So this is a really interesting story, and it kind of has a half-assed ending to it. The people that were there they did not get any of kind of the closure that they wanted, because sure, the main guy got 20 years, but all of these other people got off pretty easily for the most part. And yes, it is not, a sentence like that is not going to change anything. And maybe talking about that story will change some cultural attitudes towards women, or at least will give a voice to women rising up and talking about sexual abuse that they experience, and making that a more noticeable thing, and making men more aware of that. That is all of a possibility. However, I just cannot get over the fact that the material, meaningful consequences for hurting women in this way were just really not met out in this situation. But still, this has been a story going on for years, and we finally got some kind of closure. And 20 years for her husband in prison is fine, but the biggest part of the story for me is all of the attention that Gisèle Pelicot got, and how impactful her story is on the discourse on like kind of gender relations and rape and sexual violence in France, and how also relevant it is to American politics as well. And I want to cover this guy's video too, because I think that I've been covering like some YouTubers talking about male issues, and I think it's always interesting when I hear people talk about it. Yeah, and it really depends on like what kind of the political aisle they're coming from. Is it that it's the left, which is too cringe, and that's driving men to be conservative? Is it that women are too promiscuous, and that's making men only want like women that are chaste and stuff like that? Everyone has kind of their own take on this, and it's more of like a vehicle that people can use to insert their own politics into the story. Talking about men and women, talking about the gender dynamic that's always going to be there, that's always going to get attention. And whenever someone talks about it, then they can kind of put their own political spin on this issue. So let's see what this video has to say. 586 views in a week.
Hello and welcome back to Jarvis Johnson Gold, the premium channel that is free. It is free, but if you're watching this, you're premium. Gentlemen, I tip my cap to thee. Today, the gentlemen of Gen Z are on my mind. And the reason is because I'll be exploring the channel Gent Z, which is aptly named to teach, I was going to say to train, but I guess that too. They're creating a generation of gentlemen over on Gen Z, teaching them style, teaching them dating, teaching them the best items to buy on eBay, I guess. Everything you need to be a successful gentleman as a Gen Z person. Now, I am not Gen Z, just missed it. Oof. I do feel like I often am speaking to Generation Z, as some call it. And I also think that maybe the men of Gen Z have felt underappreciated. You know, you've got your Andrew Tates and your alpha males of the world who are, sometimes it feels like the only people talking to this group of men, but I'm here now. Jarvis is here, and he's a gentleman as well. And I'm going to judge Gen Z's advice against my own advice coming from my noggin and my life experience. So your mileage may vary, but it'll be fun and weird. But let's just jump into it. Gen Z is for men who want to dress well, treat others with respect, and be the most excellent versions of themselves. Okay, sounds good so far. The mission of this channel and community is to create a generation of gentlemen, hence the name Gen Z. Channel founder James is 26 years old and lives in Chicago. When not working on the channel, he enjoys double-breasted jackets, playing the guitar, and sipping Manhattans. I'm more of an old-fashioned guy myself.
Oh my god. So this guy is a collection of social constructs that he identifies with, and he has molded his personality around the idea of someone who is attractive to women. He grew up watching movies where James Bond would wear a double-breasted jacket and smoke cigars in like a leather chair in the back room, and then he'd go off and shoot a bad guy and do stuff, and that guy got women. That guy got women all the time. James Bond always would pull women. And so this guy grew up and he's like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to just mold my personality to be this. This is something you see a lot with, like, this is something you see a lot in every aspect of culture, particularly people that just don't have much of a personality, and then they make their personality into them just like embodying this social construct that they wish to identify with. This is like a social theory. I should probably know the specific name for this kind of social theory of how you choose an identity and then you mold your personality around that. But yeah, pretty clear example of it, like almost textbook definition.
But respect.
Just a few days ago, a new study revealed the male hobbies that women find most attractive.
This guy is a 26-year-old from Chicago. What accent is he speaking with?
And the results may surprise you. Some of the hobbies that we as men think women would go wild for.
The menswear guy on Twitter would be upset because he's wearing, like, I think the wrong type of shirt for this jacket. But again, I'm not an expert. But this is a double-breasted suit. I'm not trying to make fun of this guy because I don't know what he believes yet, okay? I don't just make fun of people from the jump without them earning it first.
In this survey, women were given a list of 74 male hobbies and asked to
I mean, just further evidence of him molding his personality to be someone that he thinks women are going to find attractive is just the premise of this video. His obsession with the idea that you need to have a hobby that women will find attractive. He kind of has, he's kind of doing like the Patrick Bateman type of thing where he has no internal compass or he has no internal drive whatsoever. It's all a shell. It's all a facade that he's putting on, which is, it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad to see. And he's making content. Good thing he doesn't have that many subscribers.
Categorize them either as attractive or not attractive.
It's very funny that this is like a thing that he made an 12-minute video about, because the study involved them ranking 74 hobbies, which doesn't answer the larger question, which is how much does it even matter? Like a hobby, you know? So if we're deciding like what the least and the most attractive hobbies are, is there a hobby that's just like a deal breaker for a relationship? Like, I don't think that's going to be answered here. And that feels like the most important question of all. Am I still going to find a partner if I play Magic the Gathering too much? Which is a real concern I have. Oh, it's just datepsychology.com. Okay, that sounds legit.
I was very
Too much that's a subjective question. If you play Magic the Gathering, you can find someone. There's nerdy people out there. There's nerdy people out there on both sides of the aisle. There's nerdy men, there's nerdy girls, there's nerdy non-binary people. Okay? You can find someone for you.
very surprised to see that reading is number 1 on this list. Personally, I would think that a hobby is attractive if it demonstrates a particular talent or skill that's hard to obtain.
Well, but everyone doesn't. Everyone can read and everyone doesn't. I think this is also like the attractiveness of something is like how desirable is it, right? It's like aesthetic to have a partner who reads also because it's rare. Like it's a thing that's it's rare also these days, and not everyone can read. that's another thing. So shout out to people who can read, and also shout out to people who choose to read, because some of us can read and still don't.
Just take a look at the Instagram account Hot Dudes Reading.
That is very funny. If you don't think that men reading is attractive, look at this Instagram page. That's the kind of hard-hitting research you're getting from Gent Z. Before we get into that, we have a brief word from today's sponsor, Aura. I talked recently about
a brief
paperback or a hardback book instead.
This video. Now back to the video.
Women love seeing a handsome man buried in a book, and it does seem to be.
I just gotta run back that
to the video.
Instagram.
Women love.
What is it? This is hot guys reading? Hot guys reading Instagram. Oh, hot dudes reading. This is just someone compiling pictures of random people. Oh, Pedro Pascal. What is this? Let's remember that not only is hope around the corner, but so is summer. Hope was around the corner. Here's a level 10 smoke show. I'm about to pull that fire alarm Wait, this is so funny. To be fair, it is mostly women. Woof. Dude, am I just being too straight, or are these guys like not even hot? Like this guy, he looks good. This guy just looks normal. Like he's got a cute dog. Also, yeah, what is actually happening? Like who's taking pictures of these people reading books? Woof, who doesn't adore a man reading while also toting his best friend around the city? My only worry is that with a bond that strong, I might have some stiff Oh my god, this is kind of cringy. And she gets called out for it. You guys make me effing embarrassed to be a woman. We're all here asking not to be objectified, to be creeped on, and yet here you are doing the exact same thing. Don't complain when men treat you the way you treat them. Do better. Oh yeah, and from all the women who are regularly objectified, thanks for making things so much worse and encouraging this. I mean, it's not really encouraging the behavior. It's just like, you don't like it when you're objectified, so you shouldn't probably objectify other people. Like you... Pedro Pascal, once again, am I just being too cis, or am I being too hetero? I know Pedro Pascal is like an actor, but is he hot? Oh, I guess it's the ripped white t-shirt. That's what's... Like this guy's in good shape. Oh my god. Okay. How many subscribers does this have? To be fair, it has 1.1 million followers. Like, what are these pictures? Okay, this is a little kind of... This is a little weird. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with... I think that's just kind of like... I think this is just kind of a subcategory of soft core, kind of like Instagram perviness, where you can find examples of men doing that to women too, where it could be something like women baking or women wearing sweaters, and it's like a kind of soft core. It's not necessarily that sweaters are sexy, it's just like, oh, isn't that kind of like there's something about a woman in a sweater during fall weather that gets people going. It's not like if you ask men if sweaters are the hottest thing a woman can do, then they would say yes, sweaters are extremely hot. I don't know. Once again, I think this is just like a niche thing, and I wouldn't say... just like the idea of attractive hobbies is funny. I mean, you use hobbies to get to know someone. I don't think that you use hobbies to have a woman interested in you sexually because of the hobbies. Like, hobbies should be used to get to know friends and then maybe get to know potential romantic partners as well. Not necessarily, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z hobby because that's what women find hot, and then they're just going to like spontaneously copulate with me if I like hit the right kind of combination of hobby mashing.
Of seeing a handsome man buried in a book, and it does seem to be particularly a paperback or a hardback book instead of an e-reader.
That doesn't matter. That's just because it is better for picture. That's just because picture pretty. It's like it's not beating the aesthetic allegations. Reading is good. There's no like argument to be had about that. The picture of man reading is just about how picture look. An idealization of picture. Picture, not reality. E-reader, fine. Paper book, fine. Hardback book, fine. Doesn't matter. Book on iPad, still smart. Okay?
Learning foreign languages. Again, this one surprised me. Although I can understand why it's attractive and beneficial.
Okay, so my read as a not psychologist, not data scientist, not whatever. All of these things are just ranked on how attractive it seems and not how attractive it is to like date someone who has these hobbies. So it just has the dating app problem where you like check a bunch of boxes where you're like, okay, I want somebody who reads and I want somebody who studies foreign language and does woodworking, right? Like woodworking is such a random ass hobby that is just like seen as like cool and masculine and interesting. I don't know that 94.4% of the people who answer this have had any experience with dating someone who does woodworking other than the aesthetic of what it like looks like in a picture, which is why I think this whole video is silly. Let's look at the study. Fine, I'll bite. Basically, women want a bilingual traveling blacksmith who does archery, gardens, and reads, or some combination like that. No, they don't. What is this website? That's got to be a joke, right? I feel like most psychological analyses don't go, basically, if I show up at a date and say that I'm a traveling blacksmith who does archery, it will elicit a lot of questions. And most of them are like, what, how, and why are you doing all that? I think being a blacksmith is not on the same level as reading as far as hobbies go. Reading is a pretty casual one. You can take or leave. Blacksmithing takes a lot of skill, expertise, equipment, or
Takes a lot of time too. Just saying, if you want to maintain a relationship, you need to put time into the relationship. And as cool as blacksmithing and woodworking is, you kind of, if that's going to be your hobby, that kind of needs to be your only hobby if you want to have a relationship with someone else. Which, you know, you don't have to have a relationship. It's not a Disney movie where you need to get together with someone at the end of the movie and live happily ever after. You can do whatever you want to do. But just keep in mind, if we're going to be talking about hobbies here and how to juggle kind of like your personal interests with maintaining a relationship with someone else, they are not a clone of you. They are not conjoined at your hip. They are not going to enjoy every single tiny little thing that you enjoy doing. And you are going to have time for yourself and time to spend with the person that you are in a relationship with. So I'm going to be giving the dating advice, not Jarvis, not this fucking Gent Zed boy. I am going to be giving it. Do something you enjoy doing, and then once you have a relationship, do what you enjoy doing less because you don't have time for it anymore. That is going to be your life. Do something you enjoy, meet someone while doing something you enjoy, and then you're both going to end up doing that thing less. That's your life. That's what a relationship is. Deal with it.
Living in 1106, the least attractive male hobbies, the least attractive hobbies to women. I mean, these are just like the things that are like classic, right? Comic books, cosplay. How did cosplay catch a stray here? Debating.
Bro, this picture I'm drawing of Jarvis is so cursed. It looks like something out of South Park. It's so fucked up.
Okay. Whoa, Magic the Gathering, let's fucking go! Is MTG Magic the Gathering? That is so fucking specific. Why is that in this study? Hey girl, you want a bad boy who engages in some hobbies you might not be fond of? We'll catch your boy participating in one of the top 5 disliked hobbies by women. Okay. Yeah. So you probably don't want to hang out with a guy like me. I'm from a different side of the cardboard or whatever. We also see strong congruence in the bottom choices for men and women. The bottom male hobby to women, Manosphere, was watching Manosphere videos. This article, this write-up, is just explaining what the labels are. This is embarrassing. I don't know if this is like a legit website, but this is...
It's not a legit website. Like, it's one of these trashy tabloid things. It's probably written by AI.
Providing no meaningful color whatsoever. You were just explaining the labels in paragraphs, and it feels like glorified fucking SEO.
Calling those paragraphs is being extremely generous.
SEO bait. It's like this is not much more than a BuzzFeed list. so far. Comic books was collecting comic books. Arguing online was arguing with people on social media. Who would describe that as one of their hobbies? Who would describe porn as a hobby? That's your hobby? And they don't explain whether that means watching or participating in, either of which is valid, by the way. But it's weird that they didn't explain MTG, which is the sole acronym on this page, but they did explain that arguing online was arguing on the internet. Now, I'm interested in finding off-ramps for people who are engaging in like very dangerous behaviors, very harmful behaviors to yourself, which is arguing online. So if your concern is about being attractive to women, you could swap that out for collecting Funko Pops and it would be of equal interest. So you're not losing anything. You're still equally attractive. You're still equally as attractive to women. Just stop arguing online and pick up those big-headed collectibles. But do not play Magic the Gathering. Oh, okay. So the limitations are that the sample was a convenient sample of 814 participants. 48% female. So it's 400 women. God knows where they came from. We see a pretty even split for politics and feminist ideology. 45% had a master's degree in the previous survey. 90% are predominantly white. All of that is to identify that clubbing might be more attractive in other populations. What do you mean? I guess what they're saying is white master's degree holders don't go clubbing, I guess. But this is a ridiculous survey. This tells me nothing. This survey was mostly men.
I have two theories about this. Either women just expect you to be in good shape.
It's so interesting because if I'm just talking about my like thoughts on something, I just say it, but I don't dress up in my double-breasted suit and talk about like a bunk psychology study in order to like justify my worldview. I just wave my hands and say, hey, is this argument compelling to you? Did you laugh at the joke? No? Okay, move on. Scroll away. I thought about wearing a suit for this video, but instead, out of protest, I'm wearing a hoodie because I'm the opposite of a gentleman, okay? I'm a rough boy. I'm not one to judge a book by its cover.
So, which is least casual? We have double-breasted suit, hoodie, rash guard. What is the most like slovenly outfit that the people on this video are wearing?
Usually I'm reading on Kindle, but this man, I am not trusting a word he says about dating. What in the Captain Jack Sparrow? This man is a genie. No wonder blacksmithing ranks so highly on men's attractive hobbies. This man, I'll just say it, he's from the past. He's from the past and I don't trust him. Also, he's like talking about like red pillars and black pillars, and that just like confirms my suspicion that this is just like bunk bullshit for like narrative building. How to prepare for a woman staying over. Brother looks like a senator right now. What are you wearing, dude? He's got his My Fellow Americans outfit on, dude.
Romantic gestures. We men...
But we stopped talking about the hobbies now. Now we're going over the rest of this guy's videos. Damn it. Well, the hobbies was boring anyway. Yes, people do not judge you based off of your hobbies. It's just like, in a complete vacuum, which hobby do you think sounds the most interesting and potentially would indicate that someone is attractive? That's what the point of that is. It has really no basis. It has really no bearing whatsoever on reality at all.
Make many efforts to appear an attractive prospect to a woman.
Here in the survey that women like reading, so he put big subtitles on his videos.
On your bed, make sure there are enough pillows for 2 sleepers. That means 4 pillows, 2 on each side. In the bathroom.
No, dude, don't do that. Don't do that. If you're preparing for a woman coming over, you want 1 blanket, 1 pillow. You do not want... Okay, this is for tone indicators. This is sarcastic. You do not want a woman to be able to have an option for a pillow. You need to make her fight you for the pillow and fight you for the blanket. This is limited real estate. Because you're limiting the amount of real estate, that's going to force her to come into physical contact with you. And once that physical contact started, then you know you're on your way. No, but I do think it's funny, just like 1 blanket, 1 pillow. What's this 2 blankets, 2 pillows crap? What? Might as well have 2 beds while you're at it.
A lined bin with a lid is essential. Also in the bathroom, I didn't think I would need to mention this, but from my research, it seems I do. Make sure you have enough toilet paper.
I didn't think you need to mention pillows for the bed if we're talking about stuff we didn't think you'd need to mention. But like a lot of this stuff is like wiki how I'm having what do I need if a guest is staying over? Not like in a romantic context. This is very practical.
In the bathroom, a lined bin with a lid is essential.
Okay, so guys, if you're gonna have a woman over, make sure to have a trash can. I can't tell you how many times I meet a girl at the club, bring her back to my place.
Okay, I do have to kind of comment about this. What this like Gent Z kind of guy is saying, it's a little bit dumb, but there is kind of an audience for it. And if you've seen the way that single men live by themselves, it's not the worst idea in the world to have some guy out there telling them, you know, if you're gonna go on a date with a woman, you should shower, you should wipe your asshole, you should dress up in clothes that aren't ripped, and if she's gonna come home or come over to your place, you should have a real trash. Just don't throw your crap on the ground and then every week when it comes for a trash pickup day, scrape it all into this giant bag and then throw the bag into the dumpster outside. Don't do that. Have a real trash, have actual toilet paper, clean the shit stains off of your toilet. Like, let's just get some basic level of decency going on here. Clip your toenails, clip your fingernails, scrub the dirt out of your fingernails, wash behind your ears. It's not the worst idea in the world to have someone giving extremely basic advice for how to interact with another human being when the audience that he's talking about, when the audience that he's speaking to really does not have a history of interacting with other human beings on that kind of level.
Are about to get hot and heavy, and then she asks if I have a trash can, and awkward, because women bring baggage. Okay, so in order to have somewhere to put their baggage, you have to have a bin. And if you don't have a bin, then your chances are thin of her staying the night. Also, pillows for the bed.
And it's definitely worth spending money on some high quality toilet paper.
It's worth spending. Is that where we are in Gen Z?
So now this is getting a little bit like pickup artisty, right? He's saying that, you know, have nice toilet paper so that the woman is going to, it's kind of like the whole idea of you need to physically engage the woman and then mentally engage her and stuff like that, where you're acting like it's an animal, and someone, instead of just like having decent respect to the person, you're like, okay, well, we have to like tiptoe around the person. It's like, make yourself presentable, but don't act like they're some kind of rare creature that you need to not scare away. Like when you have a deer, when you're face to face with a deer and you're like, oh, shh, don't make any sudden movements. They're gonna bolt away. No, they're people. They're gonna be fine with 2-ply toilet paper. And that is kind of a little thin. 4-ply? You don't have to go any further than that. They're fine, dude. They're fine.
It's worth spending money on nice toilet paper.
This dryer has a brushless motor, which dries your hair.
Well, you're just selling that. It is sponsored. Wait, that's just an ad.
Just having any kind of hair dryer is better than none, but if you really want to blow her away, sorry guys.
Dude, he got kind of twisted for a second. It's crazy to make a joke like that in front of all of his constituents. Okay, so I'm not going to show this whole thing, but this video just turns into an ad for a hairdryer when he's talking about essential items. So he's like, all right, essential items for when a lady's coming over. You need pillows, a trash can, and today's sponsor, hairdryer. And then he just talks about the hairdryer for a while. But it's like, it's not clear now if the whole video is like sponsored in some way, because he gets real specific about the hairdryer, obviously, but then goes back to the other essential items, I guess.
As for what's in that nightstand drawer, well, you guys know what should be in that nightstand drawer. In fact, I previously made a whole video on the very topic.
You already know what's in the nightstand drawer. I assume condoms, and then he said he made a whole video about it. And he made a whole video about condoms. There's a part of me, a sick part of me, that wants to watch Senator Z over here like talk about condoms for 9 minutes and then have a sponsored video where he talks about the condoms that he uses. God, I really hope that's not what it is.
It shouldn't take more than a couple of hours a week to clean it yourself, or more than around $150 to hire someone. Make sure you also clear your home of clutter.
A lot of this video is like very common knowledge, and I get like, why do you need to know this common knowledge? Well, you got to get it from somewhere, and maybe people don't have someone in their lives telling them this information. So doing a service where you do tell people this information, I do not think is bad. Presentation needs a little work, I think, but
In the bedroom, make sure you wash your sheets at least once a week and clean them again if you're expecting a guest.
I think that it's actually good that there's a random guy telling men to like wash their sheets once a week and like clean the bathroom and stuff. That's good. That's not a bad thing.
Some women are incredibly messy and live in utter pigsties themselves.
Whoa, relax. The video is called How to Prepare for a Woman Staying Over. And now there's a section called Mental Preparation. I don't know if I should laugh. It's just kind of a goofy presentation. Like the information itself is not, it's not embarrassing to need this information. I just think the presentation is extremely formal for what it is.
It's important not to put too much pressure or expectation on the over.
It's not formal. It's just this guy's persona. It's extremely amateurish. Like, yeah, his camera quality is about as bad as mine, and it's not even focused on his face.
Night stay, and rather just see it as an extension of a date.
Okay. I'm like really nervous about this. So I'm crossing my fingers here for our senator.
Even if you sleep in the same bed together, it doesn't mean she's ready to go all the way.
Okay. Yeah.
You want to show that you are a disciplined and respectful man who is okay with taking things slow.
Okay. There's like still a little too much like, I guess the whole channel is like this whole gentleman vibe, but it's not terrible advice.
And in this video, I wanted to help you prepare for all manner of situations.
Yeah, I want to be prepared.
Be proud of your home and create a comfortable environment so you can just focus on enjoying your time with her. And of course, not to kill your chances by living in a disgusting home.
Okay, it's pretty tame. It's just like, I would say that like, there's a few critical things where things could go horribly off the rails, and I was nervous about that. So at least that's fine. 6 dating green flags she's a good woman. That is a syntactical masterpiece.
Green flags that you should look for in a woman.
So, I mean, this guy's advice is not that bad. However, I do tend to question, like, these male advisor guys when their main message is not treat women like they are human beings, right? You do not need to make sure that your apartment is perfect, because human beings are not going to be put off by imperfectness in your apartment. If you have underwear on the floor, that's fine. Make sure it's not like a complete revulsion, but it's fine if you show a little imperfection, because once again, you're not trying to trick a woman into liking you, or, I mean, this goes both ways for women too. You're not trying to trick a potential romantic interest into liking you. What you're doing is trying to connect with them on like a human level, get to know them as a person, treat them like a real person. And if they like you in the same way you like them, and they treat you like a real person, then that's kind of how you form a connection. So when this guy talks about how you need the right kind of toilet paper, you need the perfect environment, and you need to like dress in the perfect way, be mentally prepared in the perfect way, but he's not talking about just treating someone like a person, then it is a little bit worrisome. And yeah, I mean, Jarvis is kind of making fun of this kind of content that the guy's talking about, but still, like, let's have some criticism of the idea that he's like kind of telling men to treat women like they are scared animals that need to be kind of tricked and lured into the apartment to get into relationships with men. I mean, he could be going much worse than he is. As a men's advice guy, he could be going much more misogynist than what he is doing.
When dating. First green flag you should look for when dating is if she's well presented.
What does that mean? Well presented. Like she's giving a present.
I think like my main issue with kind of these men's advice things on how to get a date as a person in society is every advice that you can give a man can also be applied to women, and it can be applied to anyone in between. Advice on how to form a relationship isn't specific to men, and it's not specific to women. It's not specific to trans people. You can talk about like externalities that sometimes do affect men more than other people, sometimes do affect trans people or like queer people more than other people. But in general, the best advice you can give is just be yourself, be genuine, and like treat someone like they are a real human being. Try to not be scared of them because they're just a regular person. And then all of these externality advices that people that like this guy's giving to men, or that someone might give to like women or queer people, I think all of that advice can essentially be boiled down to if you are not happy with yourself, if you are not happy with the way that you are living, or you think that you're not worthy of like being in a relationship with someone, then you should try to put yourself in a position that you are happy with yourself, and now you are ready to put yourself out there and potentially form a relationship with someone. And I think that can be boiled down to that can be related, or like all of these self-improvement tips that these kind of like bro advice guys give to men. You should work out more, you should shower, you should make sure you have toilet paper, you should make sure you have a trash can. All of that can be put under the umbrella of be someone that you think, like, put yourself in a position where you think you're ready for a relationship. Try to put yourself into the position that you think you would be fine dating. Like, if you take an objective look at your life and like, I'm so depressed, no girls ever want to date me. And then you take an objective look at your life and like, well, fuck, I wouldn't want to date myself either. Then all of the follow-up advice can be in the service to get the person ready to be in a relationship. Like, you get them into a point where they are happy with themselves. They would be happy to be with someone in the same position they are with. So yes, and then that specific advice can differ for different groups, but it's all under the same umbrella of kind of like self-improvement and I think like self-love, to get yourself into a position where not necessarily like the perfect position that society deems acceptable, but a position that you yourself deem acceptable, coming from an internal place of acceptance.
Presentation, she's wearing a double-breasted suit. Wait.
Now, what particular style of clothing she should wear is totally down to your personal preference.
Wait. What style of clothing she should wear is totally down to your personal preference. Now, I'm not like a gentleman Z or anything, but I do think that it is her preference.
Personally, I like a more classically feminine appearance. You might be open to a different aesthetic.
To not be obtuse, he probably means what you find attractive is your preference. Sure. Very funny wording.
I have never gone on a second date with a woman who turned up to the first date wearing jeans.
Okay, all right, we found it. This is the traddest man that ever did trad. This man is allergic to jeans.
I wouldn't turn up to a first date wearing...
He is not the traddest man ever. But yeah, he definitely has some preconceived notions, and it goes back to my psychoanalysis of him before, where he saw the whole like James Bond movies and he identified with that, and he's like, that's so cool, that's what I want to be. And now he's kind of molded himself to try to fit the role of those James Bond type characters. And now he's trying to find a woman that would fit the same role of the James Bond type of women characters. So yes, it's not very... I mean, that is what people that are trad do as well, but it's not trad. Like, there's a difference between saying, if she showed up in jeans, I want to date her, and saying, I don't want her to have a job when we get married. I just want her to stay at home and be pregnant for me all the time.
wearing jeans, I would dress in a way that demonstrates more effort and more consideration.
There's effort in putting on jeans, just like there's effort in putting on a double-breasted jacket that you don't unbutton when you sit down.
So remember this, gentlemen, as you're facing her across the table. Has she dressed appropriately?
Has she dressed appropriate? I mean, come on. What is this?
Hair and makeup to a level that you like?
Has she done her hair and makeup to a level that you like? Mr. Senator, I don't know about these policy positions.
These are all judgments that she's making about you, so don't feel bad to make them about her.
I mean, but the thing is, if it to the level of like, if she's making them too much about me, we just might not be a match. Number 2, she is present. That's right. Any woman that's in my presence, that's a present. I think he just means about like paying attention to you though. I feel like I'm being interviewed, by the way, for the position of his perfect wife. The way he's sitting across from me and like the way this is framed up, and he's got a pen in his hand like he's taking.
This guy has an alcohol problem. Why is this like the... Wait, how many subscribers does this guy have? He has a YouTube plaque? I thought... Wait, did I miss a 0? I thought he had like 500 subs. Oh. Oh, okay. Guess there's an audience for this. Okay, guys, this is what you should do. You should work out, go to the gym, wear cologne, start working your jaw, getting that jazzercise. That's something you can do while you're grinding, while you're investing in crypto. You know, reading is something that women find attractive, but we just don't have time for that. So what I actually like doing is I like hollowing out books, and I like putting my stock trading apps on a phone inside of the book, so I can take pictures of myself reading, but what I'm actually doing is seeing those gains rise in Robinhood, and I'm seeing my crypto just go up and up and up. So that's what you need to do. You need to have a good comb over. I would actually encourage you to watch American Psycho. That's a great movie. And if you just follow this, you know what, just watch the first 10 minutes of the movie. That's the morning routine that you need to follow to a T. Get your engraved, slightly off-white business card so that you can hand it to the woman when you see her. Let her know you're interested in her. Then call her, and if she doesn't return her call, it's fine. She's a bitch anyway. Just ignore that. If she does return the call, you know that you have her on the hook. Keep tugging. Keep laying that bait down there. Even if you don't have that much money, it's fine. Your investments in crypto will pay off eventually. Donald Trump's in the office. Elon Musk has Doge. We are taking off to the moon. All right, boys, that's all you need to do. And catch me on my next video when I talk about what you actually need to do once you have a date with a woman, because that is going to be interesting. So follow me for all of that advice. All right, can I get a YouTube plaque now? Fuck, do I need to be wearing a double-breasted suit to do that? Ah, God.
Notes. I feel like I'm supposed to be explaining why I'm a good fit for the company. And also, I can't see that he's not wearing jeans or pants, for that matter. Does he think the pen makes him look refined, dignified, sophisticated, gentlemanly?
On the other hand, if she's making strong eye contact, listening closely, and asking follow-up questions...
It's Mad Men clips. It's Mad Men clips. Isn't Mad Men notorious for being, like, having sexist, misogynistic, shitty male leads in the show? Like, very blatantly treating women like shit in the show? Isn't that what Mad Men is famous for?
Of course it's a Mad Men clip. You just know the type, man. Not to, like, paint with a broad brush, but... Okay, I mean, a lot of this stuff is... It's basically just, like, kind of basic, out-of-the-box starter kit, like, traditionalism. Megatrad booster box. You just became a traditional, refined man. So now here's the things you need to know to keep that good thing going. Painting with a little bit of a broad brush. I don't think being a gentleman means all of these things. Also, there's a video called The Difference Between a Gentleman and a Simp. I just feel like this language just tells me so much. But let's look at this TikTok.
Always write words and sentences in full with correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation.
More like how to text like, boring. Who cares, man? It's silly. That's a silly thing to care about. It's like, if it's a private text, then what does it matter?
In the early days of texting, the telephone keypad...
Oh, okay, thank you. No, this is like This is important. So he's just going to explain. This is so fucking, God, this is exhausting. He's just going to be like, in the old phones, they had to do T9. And so like words, LOL, everything was shortened because it was more convenient. There's no reason to speak like that now if you're a dignified gentleman, but it kind of misses the fact that language evolves and it's like born out of those things. Like if I show you a save icon, it's of a floppy disk, and most of the people watching this video have never fucking touched a floppy disk, but it's become an icon of it means something. If someone texts LOL, yeah, it meant laughing out loud on AIM in like 1999, but now it means that you're not laughing. Now it means that you're not even smirking. Now it means that you're looking at your phone and you just don't want your friend to hate you. So you say LOL as a way to say, I love you, friend, and I want us to continue having an engaging friendship. And the fact that you sent me something and thought of me in this moment, that deserves an updoot. That deserves a little LOL for me, despite the fact that I didn't even crack a smirk. In order to tell someone that you're laughing in 2024, you have to use so many words to talk about how you're falling out of your seat, you're crying, milk is fucking going through your nose, and I still won't believe you. And we just accept that as a society.
Made spelling words in full rather laborious, so abbreviations became popular.
Abbreviations became popular, and that is why, my fellow Americans, I am running for Senator of Texting. Oh, God, this guy rules.
But now, smartphones have QWERTY keyboards, and even correct your spelling automatically.
What? Is he describing this to someone who just got out of a time machine from like the very recent past? Okay, you had smartphones in your time, right? Okay, so now they correct spelling. It is crazy.
If after sending a text you notice that you made a mistake, you can send a follow-up message using an asterisk to provide a correction.
This is like if you're texting your boss. And also nowadays, this is already outdated because you can just edit most texts.
Text speak is now outdated and immature. So are acronyms like LOL, LMAO, and ROFL.
What year is this man? I'm convinced this man is not from our time. There is not a 20-something alive, a member of Gen Z who has ever typed ROFL. At no point did they type that. It was on the way out when they were coming in. It's gone. And it's not coming back. It's dead. No one has rolled on the floor laughing since 2003.
You can just say, that made me laugh.
That's funny. You can just say, that made me laugh. Yeah, once again, this guy is just trying to, follow this persona that he is attracted to. He's attracted to the type of persona. He's attracted to the type of guy that wouldn't say LOL, because that's childish, right? Yeah. Yeah, obviously just be yourself. that would be my counter advice. If you are the type of serious person that doesn't say LOL, then you're going to find someone that appreciates that and thinks that's kind of quirky. Oh, he doesn't say LOL because he believes in typing out everything. It's so annoying, but like it's kind of cute. That's what I mean. You're going to find someone like that. Just be yourself. Don't be fake. People are put off by being fake. And people find someone who's genuine to be endearing, and that someone who's genuine will draw attraction towards them, not just romantic attraction, but also attraction from friends and other people that you're hanging out with. People are gonna like that. They're gonna be attracted to you.
You can just say, that made me laugh, or I am mildly amused by your text message. Elections are coming up, and we need your support. Please click the link in my message to donate to my campaign.
And many teenagers choose hairstyles that leave hair on their face or hair that is too long and disheveled.
Now, what does he think about teenagers today? I would say that's teenagers just be doing teenager things. Who cares? They're coming into their own identities and trying stuff out.
That doesn't send a message to the world that you are ready to be taken seriously.
Well, they're not, because they're teenagers.
I think it's worth choosing a classic hairstyle like a crew cut, pompadour, or side part.
All right, James, what hairstyle should I wear? Because my hair doesn't do those things, okay?
If you are still relying on your parents for money, ask them to book you more regular haircuts every month.
If
That's hilarious. That's the funniest advice that he's given this video. If you're relying on your parents for money, then ask them for more money. That's so funny. I mean, that just shows what his audience is, right? His audience is like 15-year-old boys who are just starting to talk to girls. They're just starting to get over their fear of, I guess they're starting to have an interest in girls and be like, oh my God, should I talk to them? And it's like, yeah, ask your parents to get you more regular haircuts. I mean, he's trying to mold a generation of people into his image. So can't blame him too hard for telling people to get the same haircut as him. I think that's hilarious.
A single teenager follows his advice, they are going to get clowned to high heaven. He doesn't even look like a cop. He looks like a third royal, like the off brother, the other one, you know? Like he's related to someone famous. We got Richie Haircut McGee over here, Mr. Fancy Pants Ass. If I can't look good, no one can have video. Oh, that's so good. I'm glad the teens are revolting.
Today, women are actually making videos on the internet telling you exactly what they like and what they don't like. You might have come across this term, the ick.
This is like a Chat GPT bot that was trained on like manosphere videos explaining modern social decorum. I had to do some sleuthing. I did a YouTube search and I found the video where he talks more about texting because I just want to get more advice from him, just, you know, because I want to learn. Great seeing you. LOL. Was great. Okay, same number of letters, by the way, as the word was. Great to see you too, but oh my God, gotta go. Talk to you later. Sorry, these are the old runes that I can decipher because I'm a millennial. So I just did that for you guys, my Gen Z viewers. But they're not really saying anything. You'd never say this much stuff.
Should a gentleman use emojis when texting? Overall, it is not very gentlemanly to rely on emojis. If you do use them, stick to the basics like the smiling face, laughing face, or winking face.
If you do use, this is like how he's describing this the way that someone would describe belts, you know, or like suit jackets or tie knots. But it's emojis. You don't always want to use a double Windsor. Sometimes a half Windsor will do. In the same energy of...
I mean, yeah, it's literally the same thing, right? It's just social conventions. Like, there's no difference in how you tie a tie versus how you text. It's all a presentation and you following norms.
A smiley is good. Crying, laughing emoji is fine. Under no circumstances should you use the winky face.
Personally, I never use slang terms like bro, homie, or sup.
I gotta run that back. Bro, homie. I use terms like my fellow Americans.
Now let's talk about the kinds of text messages a gentleman sends.
Okay, the kinds of text a gentleman sends.
Texting is inherently casual. It is the most casual form of communication we have.
Which is why you shouldn't be concerned with spelling out all the words.
Texting is mostly a utility. For genuine conversations, the phone or in person is much better.
I'm so confused as to like the audience for this.
Certain types of conversations that should never be had via text. If you need to deliver bad news, invite them to a video call if you can't get together in person.
That's funny. I'm gonna send you a Zoom link. Your dad died. What? A video call. Preferably invite them to a video call if you cannot get there in person. Preferably have a screen recorder ready to record the reaction to the horrible news so that you can play it back and laugh and laugh and laugh.
I totally know what he means. It's so funny to like send somebody a Zoom for like an intervention.
If you are feeling emotional or angry, you should take the time to cool down before sending a text message.
Most of the time he has like totally mid advice that like doesn't really matter. And then every now and again he says something crazy. And then other times it's bad. Sometimes it's bad. Or it's like he's arrived at the right destination from the wrong route.
You should wait no more than 2 hours to respond to a message.
How did the gentleman get into this, like, how long to text back discourse?
Even if the text message is more general chit-chat, it is rude to ignore them for more than 2 hours.
That's crazy, bro. Like, people have lives.
People are on their phones all the time. If they want to respond, they will. If they don't respond within what you would consider to be a fair time frame, consider if this is a mutually beneficial exchange.
Based on his advice, I should not talk to Jordan because we like both text each other and like never text each other back until we like need to text each other again.
Read receipts are an optional feature on iMessage.
This guy, like this image with read receipts is so funny to me.
I recommend you do not turn on read receipts unless you always reply promptly to messages. When a person sees that you have read their message but have not replied, they can feel ignored and rejected.
Yeah, or if someone asks you a complex question, sometimes it's like, if someone's asking me advice on something, it would take like 5 paragraphs sometimes to answer it, but like you can communicate much more quickly because you don't have to worry about tone and things like that, but whatever.
And they say 7 p.m. is good, see you there. You can send them a thumbs up reaction to confirm. You can also use the heart reaction for the same purpose, although personally, I only use that with either my mother or with a romantic interest.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, this guy's just kind of doing like basic wipe your ass, brush your teeth, go to school every day, go to college. It's just basic shit. And he hasn't said anything like too problematic so far. I mean, once again, the most problematic thing he's done is kind of glossed over the fact that women are just people and you should talk to them. But I mean, it's way better advice than a lot of people out there.
That gives me the same vibe as like, I'm not allowed to be in a room alone with a woman that's not my wife out of respect. Cause I don't know what'll happen. If I send a heart reaction to just a friend, well, then she's not just a friend, okay? Because I love her. I'm sending her a whole ass heart. My love is only for my mom and my girlfriend. All my homies get heart reactions. If you are one of my friends, one of my homies, which is a word that I use, I'm giving you one of these. I've got to do a lot of thinking about my communication style. I think I've been flirting with way too many of my friends. I'm just going to say, dude, keep doing what you're doing, whatever, it's fine. Be a little less prescriptive. And also, Gent Z does not roll off the tongue. It is very hard to say. If you enjoy this video, be sure to leave a comment that says, "This video made me laugh," and make it look as formal as possible. No informal messages in the comments. Use proper punctuation. None of that LOL, ROFL shit. Okay? Stay gold, everybody.
Ah, damn it. I didn't really finish this, but it's kind of coming together. It's a little bit creepy of a picture. But anyway, that was fine. I don't think, honestly, the fact that that guy wasn't saying that you should just like treat women like complete animals is a little bit heartening. Like, he said you should at least treat women with respect, and you should kind of do basic things to make yourself a little bit more appealing to women, like wash yourself, have a garbage, and have toilet paper in your bathroom. So yeah, that wasn't that bad. Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you later.